Hey there, Scrappy friends. It's Shelly. I am Scrappy Longstocking. And today I am going to go ahead and put together the pages that I just planned a couple of days ago for the community story kit. Today is Sunday. It's my scrapbooking day. I am fully caught up with Project Life, except for the week that I just finished, and I'm okay with that. I think I like the idea of doing 2 weeks at a time. The cats are behaving today, and so I'm just going to put you on fast forward, and I'm just going to put you on fast forward and make Rosie get out of the way. And then let's get started. All right, so we're just trying to make some decisions because I had to organize the pages so that they made sense in a logical order to tell all the stories that I wanted to tell. And initially, I thought I had more photos of my life groups from Ohio, and I didn't. So I had to find a way to get everything in these pages in the order that I wanted them, which made sense logically, and use all of the supplies that I wanted to use to get the stories told. So it was a bit difficult, but here in the beginning I figured it out, and I keep lifting the album up because I'm looking at my notebook underneath. And then I realized that, I need to go ahead and punch these pages so that they'll fit in there. And I went ahead and grabbed some of this neutral washi that I got off of Amazon. They have tons of different types and brands on there. And I just went a couple of months ago and picked them up. And so what I usually do is use double-sided tape to put the tape along the edge. But this time, I don't know why I didn't do it. I didn't. And this paper with the hands, I was originally going to use it as an extra page, but then I realized I don't have a whole lot of journaling, and especially if I use the back of that African Proverbs card, I don't need that space at the top for journaling. So I just decided to change the plan, and I realized that I didn't have to waste a whole bunch of the paper if I just cut it to trimmed it to fit directly in that pocket. And so I'm a little bit off camera, but I'm just working on those holes again, making sure that they're covered up, because I think it just looks nicer. I saw someone else do this first, so this is really not an original idea, but I think it just looks nice, and so I chose that neutral color to go along and not be conflicting with the colors of the pattern. So all I do is use an alligator clip, and then I line up the edges so that they're equal at both the top and the bottom, and then I just punch the holes with my regular hole punch, and every so often it doesn't go through and I have to double punch it, but it works out fine. And these are 8x8 page protectors, so there we go. I'm trying to decide where to put that African Proverbs card, because I've already decided to put the journaling for that story on the back of that card. So it's almost like a divider for a new set of stories in this album. And I haven't finished the stories that are in front of it, and I haven't finished the stories that are behind it, but I wanted to work on this because I had the photos printed out. And right there, I'm making notes about what I want to type out. Oh, it looks like I accidentally hit the camera. Sorry about that. But I make notes as I go along. When I decide I want to type out journaling, I make the notes of what I want to type out. And then when I sit down, I decide what to journal. And now I'm just looking at another one of the stories and trying to make decisions. And I think I moved that card around at least one more time. And the papers from these extra scraps of paper, and there it is, I moved it again. And these extra scraps of paper are some scraps from a paper pad by Die Cuts with a View that I got from Joann's. I think I bought it for my birthday last year. So they may not have it anymore. And there I'm trying to figure out, do I want that one outside of the Page Protector 2? Even though it's a 3x4 card, it'll still fit. I think it'll still get moved one more additional time. And here I'm trying to see where the stories will flow together between all of the stories to make sure that they all make sense. And the scrapbook.com page protectors, I didn't cover that one up because the scrapbook.com page protector holes line up with two of the holes on the Ali Edwards 6-ring binders. So I don't cover those up because they look like they're almost like they're supposed to belong there. So here I'm thinking again, what do I want to do? And instead of trying to force myself to make the decision there, I just move on. And so here I'm rearranging some of the stories so that it makes sense in the overall story. Because to me, this how I think about these story kits is starting to come together so that I'm telling a story of community, and whatever set of stories I tell inside that story are additional smaller stories. And so there I finally made the decision, let's go ahead and put that back. And I remembered that I wanted to use that Teamwork 3x8 card. And so since I remembered that, I could use the filler card. I didn't need the journaling spot. Moving things around, choosing places to put pictures and cards. I think some of my stuff has gotten mixed up a little bit, and I was a little confused because when I planned the stories, I didn't have the photos printed out. And I did print out the photos for the specific stories that were on the list that I wanted to tell, but I still got confused anyway. So here I'm just trying to put photos and make decisions. I put that one in there, and I decided to use that card for journaling and then go ahead and put that filler card in there. And I'm pretty sure that was that was in my notebook, part of my original plans. And so there are some more of those scraps, and eventually I will go and get the whole paper pad because I have some larger scraps, and I realized that I had to rearrange that card or that 6x8 paper in order for it to make sense, and which meant I needed to back the other one with a piece of paper because I decided not to print out a full page photo to go along with it. And here I'm just trying to decide where exactly do I want it on there. And I'm just trimming off bits and bits until I get it just about where I want it. And then I say good enough is good enough. And with these, I just use my regular tape runner if I decide that I don't want to staple them down or use a brad. And there, once I decided where at the left to right that I wanted it, I didn't pay attention to where the bottom was, and it covered up the words, which didn't look right to me. It didn't make sense. So I pulled it off and trimmed off the edge a little bit. And so these are just scraps from a traveler's notebook project that I use these papers for. And so I was just using up some of those scraps. And I think these colors just go so well with this kit. And I was just auditioning some of those hearts some of the papers. What do I like? What do I not like? And I kind of think about what is the subject of the story also when I go ahead and choose the papers that I want to use as fillers. So there's that other piece of paper where I realized, oh, I needed the larger scraps from that paper pad. And here I knew initially that I wanted to use this photo inside that heart. And so I go ahead and just trim it out. I printed most of these photos with a border because I thought I wanted the border. And then I think I just changed my mind midway through and just cut them with my scissors. And so I go ahead and I look at it and I think, oh, that'll work. It's not going to cut off our faces. So I'm just going to give it a try. Put it in the pocket and it covers up the words. So I try a little bit more, cutting off the edges a little bit more. Can I do it without cutting off our faces? And then I try it again. And then I realize, okay, well, that'll fit and it doesn't cover up the words. And I go ahead and adhere it. And once I pull the photo out, I realized, oh, that looks really dumb. At least to me. I thought it looked really dumb. I didn't like the way it looked. So I just decided to go ahead and toss the paper, trash the idea. And then that's just a 3x4 card because I can reprint the 3x4 photo and go ahead and just put it somewhere else on the page. So I wanted to see where it would look like. And there was something jammed in my hole punch. And so I just cut off the edge and emptied out my hole punch, put my guider back on and repunched it and just kept on going. There's no rules here. And I go ahead and get that positioned and use double-sided tape to go ahead and put it down. I think it'll be more secure, especially since it'll be moved about a lot with pulling the journaling in and out, even if it's just a few times. I wanted to make sure it stayed on the page. Got it positioned, got to get my tweezers to get under the edge of that red line tape. Oh, I think that was Artemis, and she went to the other end of the table. She likes to, when I'm not paying attention to her, she likes to lay directly on my projects, on my workspace when I'm typing. In the middle of meetings, she tries to jump right in front of the camera. It's silly. So since she went to the other end of the table, she got to stay, because otherwise she would be right where I'm trying to make progress. So here I am wondering, is it time to make more decisions? I know where I'm going to put journaling, and then I remembered that I had wanted to use the community piece with that photo of my Tuesday night church. And I think this day I was watching the Chosen series on Amazon. And that's why you see my remote a couple of times, because the season 5 is getting ready to come out. So I wanted to make sure that I got to watch all of season 4 before I watched season 5 come out, because I decided to watch these episodes in the theater. And so here I'm just looking and trying to decide which ones do I want. And on this one, I don't like the position or the chipboard that I chose to go along with it, because it says community and then it also says my community, but I didn't notice it until after everything was already done. And I decided I can't really pull that chipboard up without messing the whole project up. So I decided to just leave it because it's pretty. And I guess I could probably cover it up with another sentiment, but I may just leave it because it's not bothering me as much now. And so I choose this. I think I choose this blue floral. It's a navy blue, and I think it's really pretty with that large blue floral. And the blue, I think, is a darker blue color than the one that's in the kit for the most part, but it coordinates and doesn't clash a lot. I don't usually tape my projects this way, but since the pieces of paper were two different sizes, because I had forgotten that I miscut the kit paper, I decided to just go ahead and give it a go, because usually I can't get them on there straight if I do it that way. And I think you can see some of the edges there where I didn't get it on there straight. And so I'm just doing my hole punches because I don't trust myself to line it up 2 times in a row. So I usually just use my hand punch when I'm doing those things. Here I'm choosing another neutral page. This one's got like a linen sort of, it's not raised, but it's a linen sort of pattern on it. And I miscut that paper, so I had to do it again. And that's fine too. And I wanted to back that and make sure that they were the same size so that when they go in the pocket, one's not larger than the other. And I just wanted to set that photo down right on there. And I don't usually think about matting my photos and creating the layers and that sort of thing. I just don't think about it while I'm in the middle of it. And I like the simplicity of that. And so really, I wanted the photo to be the focal, and I wanted those two chipboard, or those two pieces, the chipboard and the word, to be just there at the top. And so I used my tape runner on this word, and then I used my tweezers to push the tape where it hung over the edge, to just push it down, and it sticks to itself then, and then it adheres itself to the bottom of the word only, and it's not poked out and getting stuck and getting lint adhered to it and that sort of thing. That turned out pretty. Then I'm just moving on to the next piece, trying to get some of the mess out of the way. I think I've decided that all of the papers, I'm done with all of those, and I think I'm just going to start working on the embellishments and making notes of what journaling I want to do. I think there are some more blank spots. I want to make sure that those are filled, and so now I'm doing the second part of the plan. So making sure there are no gaps and just continuing on. And this one, I think it's adhered crooked, but I just kind of leave it and keep on moving on. I do that sometimes because sometimes when you try and pull the papers up, it creates a huge mess. And so I still got to use the hand paper a lot on these first couple of pages where the journaling is talking about serving, because that hand paper really made me think of the expression, many hands make light work. And this is a Studio Calico kit, and I'm pretty sure it's like September, and I was trying to find a card that would go well with this kit. Yeah, both of them, that's September 23 and the other one is September 22. And so I was thinking, let's try and find some cards in this kit that match the colors. And so I just kept looking through, and eventually I decide that while the colors are very similar and they look nice together, I just decided against the whole thing altogether. And that one was very good with the coloring of the kit, but I decided to use some of it for journaling spots. I think this is the same kit, and I just went through it again just to double check and make sure. You see how similar those colors in those kits are. So I just rejected all of that and just thought, and I think my thought was it's too many different things would make it look cluttered. And these layouts have a sort of clean feel to them where there's not a lot of different stuff going on. And initially here on this Me to We card, I was going to try to just type something out and use it that way. But then I remembered this Ali Edwards letter stickers. And I realized, oh, that color will look pretty good. And I'm using some pinks from the kit, and it doesn't totally disappear in the middle of the card there. It doesn't totally disappear. And I think when it's all together and not in shadow, you can see it much better than you can with the angle that we're looking at here. And it took me a minute to figure that out. And I like how it turned out with the 2 at the bottom of the angle in the W. Just put it right on in there. And I usually tap them down a little bit to make sure they stay. And this was just the remnant strip. And since I didn't need to do the journaling on that line, then I went ahead and just put this remnant strip right on in there. And it carries these first couple of pages across. And so I think I look through again to see what is the next step. What do I do? And I usually do the photos, the words, and add in the chipboard pieces and various embellishments that way. And then once I'm finished, I'll go through the whole thing again with whatever is left over and remnants. And then I'll see if there's anything else I want to just put on there so that I could use it, or that would look nice that I missed the first time. And here I don't, the word strip that I chose says, when you connect with your people, you are never alone. And so these were folks that I was in life group with for a couple of years. Oh, I can't even read. I think I was trying to show you what that says. Yeah. Oh, I'm showing you again. So I was getting ready to stick it down and then completely changed my mind. I'm not really good at using these word strips on things, but now that I'm thinking about it, they would be great to use for journaling cards. Just as like headers on journaling cards. So now I'm on to the next one. Do I want to add anything here? I was thinking initially that I wanted to place one on the back of there, and I pick one that says, good people doing good deeds have a way of bringing about positive change for the future. And I thought that made really good sense with that whole page, and obviously the color is going to match. So I hadn't fully decided, so I just stuck it in there to see if that's what I wanted to do. And I think I was making a note. Oh, I just decided to go ahead and do it because I remembered, oh yeah, I'm using the team page to write my journaling. Go ahead and give it a good old pressy poo and put it right on back in there. And I decided to write down, oh yeah, I need to write journaling there. And I measure what the space is available so that I can make my text box match the space available, and then I can go ahead and type out whatever I want to say that'll fit the spot. Oh, I didn't even notice that while I was editing the video. And this one I'm measuring the box again, and in the end it turned out I didn't have a ton to say, so I ended up filling in the bottom of that journaling card with some embellishments. That made sense. Looking at another place for journaling, I don't know why I use this sticky note. It ends up, there's 10 stories here, and I totally run out of room, and I don't know why I chose a sticky note to write this down, especially when I have this whole notebook here. And I was like, oh, I don't have any room. I have this whole notebook, and I'm like, I got to write my notes on a sticky note because that's what sticky notes are for. Oh, and so I'm looking at the page, and do I want to add something here? It's squirrel brain all over the place with some of this stuff, and I'm measuring the journaling card. I think that space ended up being 3 by 3. And I just write a general topic and the space that's available, and then what I'll do is I'll just grab my tablet. Once I turn the video off, I'll grab my tablet, and then I'll look at the pages and the title that I was thinking, and that gives me a trigger of what to write in the journaling. And sometimes I have a lot to say, and sometimes I have a little to say. Oh, and I also made a note, hey, you got to reprint this photograph. And then I wanted a small amount of journaling to go in the pocket. And I had to figure out how I was going to get it in the pocket and what would it look like. And there I realized, oh, hey, Goob, you got this whole, you have this whole piece of paper to write all this journaling on. And then once I get the journaling typed out, I'll just cross it off the list so that I know that I finished it. And normally I would cut the video while I'm doing this part, but I wanted to leave it in case anyone was having trouble figuring out how to do this and what to do. Or maybe an idea on changing it, making it more streamlined. And so there I'm just writing a 1/2 inch by 4.5, and bullet point list, and then I think I write things I love about my community, and it's just a very general story. And this time I also decided to go ahead and leave in the journaling bits that I decided to do, and go ahead and show putting this part all together, since I frequently will also do some embellishment during this part. Like, I just do the embellishment whenever it seems to make sense, because sometimes before you do the journaling, an embellishment won't make sense, and I don't like putting a whole bunch of words plus additional words on the embellishment on the page. I think it makes it look busy and overwhelming. And so I printed my journaling on sticker paper, and then because I backed that in color so it wouldn't be so stark and plain, I go ahead and attach it to a piece of white printer paper because it's thinner and you can see the pattern sort of ghosted behind it. So that's why I do it that way, is so that it's more opaque than vellum, but it's less, but you can still see the pattern behind it. So it's less stark than having just a bright white box. And so here I just peeled up the edge, and then I fold over the backing paper in a line. I was just struggling here a little bit. And then I just get it straight, and then I decide to cut off the edge with my trimmer so that I get a straight line. And then there's just this box of white text floating there. There we go. And I didn't want a whole bunch of border around it since it was a white journaling on a dark color. And there's a quick embellishment there. And boom, moving on. And on this one, I have to remember that I'm not a super big fan of doing this because it doesn't turn out, it looks a little busy to me where I type the journaling out and it's on a piece of pattern paper. It's fine really, but it looks too busy. And so I think in the future, I'm going to put it on a piece of vellum so that it obscures the pattern behind it a little bit more. And see, here's that It Takes a Village card. And I realized, oh no, I have this big box, but I didn't have a ton to say. So let's just fill it with embellishments. And I think it turned out kind of cute. And I get the opportunity to play around and use up some of these extra pieces and how much in there. Yeah. And I use there's a lot of words on there, but I don't think it's so very much in your face. And here I just decide to go ahead and use one of these pockets as a filler and put some of those word phrase stickers on that bottom part so it's not just blank there. And just because it's a pocket doesn't mean you have to use it as a pocket. So it's just an embellishment. I don't plan on putting anything in that little pocket. I just think it's pretty, and I chose the colors so that they would complement the colors in the kit. And now that I'm looking at the red shirts, I almost wonder if I should have printed that photo out in black and white, but I'm not going to go back and change it. I'll just pay attention to that next time because those red shirts are very much in your face. I like the way these pages turned out, even though there are all these different colors. And that photo there was several years old that a friend of mine had posted on Facebook, and I saw it. I happened to see it, and then I realized, oh, that's me right there in the front. And so here, I think I just make a journaling card of my own to slip into that pocket. Yeah, there I go. I just decided to make a journaling card of my own to put in that pocket. And so I adhere this sticker paper again to white, I think that's computer paper, and then I'll just go ahead and cut it down and put it on that card and then use a heart along the top. Yep, there's the heart. Put it in the pocket and move on to the next story. And can't remember which one of these. It might have been the journaling here that just doesn't, I sized the text box wrong. And I had to print it out 4 times. And it was really frustrating. Maybe it wasn't this one. Oh, I had thought that I wanted to use that banner there. I did use it. Good deal. I just put it right in. Nope, that one wasn't the one that required being printed 4 times. And so that's a light colored heart. And sometimes I will put them on the outside of the page protector. Every so often I do it. And when I was doing this, I realized, oh, I put those 2 3x4s. I didn't use a collage from Canva. I just put 2 3x4s on a 4x6 and printed them out instead of using the divider in the middle. And I just decided to leave it because little details like that don't necessarily matter. maybe this was the one I had to print out a bunch. And I centered this journaling because I wasn't sure how I was going to make it fit in the pocket, if I would have to cut the edges off or not. And so I think what I end up doing is just cutting down the bottom of it and then adding a tab. Yep, that's what I decided. That looks nice. Let's get to the next one. And this one is journaling for making friends. And I think I wanted to do the same thing that I had done before and use some of that scrap paper and go ahead and make my own journaling cards. And since I decided to do that, I just adhered them to this computer paper and put them on there. And having these little 4x4 scraps really made this project easy, and this paper pad was very complimentary to this. There was that gap at the top, and so I just used a word phrase sticker to fill it in so that it wouldn't be this very stark gap. And then another heart at the top, and then another story to tell, and another heart. Put the heart on first. My fingers just get in the way, and there we go. And that's why I used the tweezers. And I was checking time to see how much time I was using up, because this really did take quite a while. Oh, and here's the 1/2-inch strips that go with the last little story. The last couple of bits are a little difficult, and so a little trick that I use is to set down, once I get it positioned, I'll set down the blade in the middle of the piece of paper so that it doesn't move while you're doing it, and then hold down the clear plastic guide. And on this, I just took the edge and pulled it up, and then used my tweezers to position it so that I could see, and then I lifted up the edge and pulled the rest of it off. I think we're getting close to the end here. The last couple of pieces of this story going down. And then I'll put it all in the binder and do a flip through. And then I think I do a couple of pieces off camera. And here I'm starting to put some things away. And then realize I need to go ahead and turn the camera off. Oh, I'm trying to make one more decision. What goes in that pocket? It turned out pretty. All right, friends, before I'm all finished with putting the pages together, it took me all together with the filming, it took me about 2 hours to put everything together, but I took a couple of breaks in the middle, and it took me about 45 minutes to type out the journaling. It would have been faster if I had been able to handwrite it, because clearly you just write instead of type and print. So, and I had to reprint one of the journaling cards, I think 4 times, because I could not get it right. So I just want to show you what's left. I'm going to count these hearts as 1. So there's 1 element, 1 chipboard piece left. I think there's a longer chipboard piece left somewhere else under my mess here. So 2 chipboard pieces left, 2 veneer hearts. They'll be fine. I'll use them in my stash. I have these word strips, and then 2 cards. So I'm going to count these as 1, these as 1, and these as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 items, and I've already set the other cards aside for a Project Life spread in April. So I'm just going to add this to it, and I'll put it in I think I'll put it in the kit, and I'll probably use a page protector to cut this edge off. So I'll put that over there. So most of that will get used in the next couple of months. And then the rest will go into my stash, and I'll probably use those hearts all together at some point. So I did a couple of things once I turned the cameras off, because that's my habit. So this is the 4x6 card, journaling here on the left, photos on the right. This is an 8x8 pocket page from Simple Stories. And I was hoping I had one of these pages. I like the 2-inch strip at the top. I like this vertical. And I just use washi tape along the edge. I hope this is going to stay. It seemed like it was sticky enough to stay. Usually I will use red line tape so that it does stay. And I just line up the holes as you saw and just punch the new holes in there. And the washi tape works to hide the ugly of having multiple unused holes. Or at least I don't like it. This is a story about serving at my church at an event where we built houses for people who had tiny homes, which would be shipped from Arkansas to another southern state. I can't remember which one, where their homes were wiped out in a hurricane or tornadoes, not sure which. This is another story about serving at my church. This was a specific event. This is a story about generally serving and just being a part of that at my church. This is a story about a class at my old church when I first began my journey in Christianity. And this is like the beginning of the story, and this is the second half of the story, or another part of this story. I presume that I'm somewhere in the messy middle, just learning and growing up and becoming more mature. And I like this card, From Me to We, because the story is more about becoming more and more part of a church family. And this story is about Tuesday night church. Many churches have it on Wednesday night. We have it on Tuesday night. And this is another, just being present at church is another part of growing and becoming more integrated into my church family. This was the piece that I thought I had lost in the pages, so there's not another chipboard piece. There's just that one left. This is just a wood veneer heart. I chose it just because it contrasts against this background here. This is the story of making new friends and S&S, because we're both named Shelly. And I added, after the camera, I added the letter stickers, and then I added the word sticker, and then this tab from my stash. So after the camera, I added this heart pocket, and I added this piece of chipboard. It was sitting in the pocket. I had intended to use it. From the point when I was planning the story. I just forgot to put it on there and didn't notice it sitting in the pocket while I was putting everything together. And I added this heart so that it would mimic this page. So these two pages are basically the same design. We've got a 4x6, a 4x6 photo, journaling with a heart, and then another heart over here. And then this is just, it's almost like having a bullet point list. I didn't really have much to say, but I wanted to use this card. And so I just thought about the things that I love about the life and the community that I'm building now. And so I just made the quick bullet point list. And I like how this turned out, this whole thing. I love the colors of this kit. I love the soft muted tones. It's just it just turned out perfect, and I love being able to tell all of these stories from different points in time. So thus far, this is 1 story, 2 stories, 3 stories, 4, 5, no, that's not 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stories. 10 stories in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours of time. That's not too bad. I very much enjoyed this. All right, friends, so that's all I have for you. Go ahead and smash the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you want to tell the algorithm to send you more of these videos and this type of video. I very much enjoyed hanging out with you, and I'll see you around the internet. Bye, friends.